January 1st, 1882, Arizona Territory. Gunshots cracked through the frozen air, sharp as a curse from hell itself. I, Leela Redwing, ran for my life through snow-packed forest, bullets whistling past my ears. One slammed into a pine trunk, spraying icy shards into my face. My own people, my Apache kin, hunted me like a wild animal. My crime? Accepting a blanket from a white drifter in the dead of winter. To them, it was betrayal, a spit on our ancestors' graves. Uncle Cale's voice still burned in my ears from the tribal council. "You've sold your soul to the white devils, Lila." Elder Thorne's eyes, sharp as flint, had sealed my fate. Leave or die. Now. They chose death for me. My bare feet bled, leaving crimson streaks on the snow. My ankles, raw and frostbitten, screamed with every step, like knives slicing through bone. My cotton dress, meant for desert heat, hung in tatters, useless against the north wind howling through the mountains. It clung to my skin, exposing curves I once carried with pride, now a curse, drawing danger from men in towns and tribes alike. I wasn't the strong girl of my people anymore. I was a ghost, teetering between life and death, clinging to a fading hope that death might come kinder than this pain. 3 days without food. Hunger wasn't just a gnawing ache. It was a fog clouding my vision, stealing my balance. I stumbled, catching myself on frozen branches. The wind stole my breath, burning my lungs, and hope melted like snow in the sun. But something Mother's voice, maybe whispering, "Our people survived deserts and mountains, child. So will you," pushed me forward. I couldn't stop. Stopping was death, and I wasn't ready to surrender. Not after everything I'd lost. This was my 6th try for shelter. A wooden ranch house near Bitter Springs. A town where white folks tolerated Indians like me only if we worked for nothing, stayed silent, or vanished. I knocked, hands trembling, voice hoarse. "Please, just food or a place for the night." The door creaked open. A man with a matted beard, Farmer Jed, I'd heard whispered in town, stared at my bloody feet, then slammed the door shut. His silence cut deeper than any insult, saying, "You're worth nothing." I stood there, wind whipping my face, as the sunset painted the mountains a hopeless red. Was this the end? Echoes of the past clawed at me. Uncle Cale's shame. "You're a disgrace, Lila. Taking a blanket from White's do? You think our ancestors forgive that?" Cousin Mira, who once braided my hair under starlight, now sneered, "You invited trouble to our people. I saw you smile at that filthy white hunter." Elder Thorne's voice, low as thunder. "You don't belong here, Redwing. Leave, or we'll remove you. All for a blanket. A desperate act to survive the cold. Not love, not betrayal, just survival. But to them, it was a line I'd crossed. Did I deserve to die for it?" The question tore at my heart, freezing tears on my cheeks. I staggered on, feet heavy as lead. Then my body betrayed collapsed into a shallow snowdrift, cold seeping through my skin. "No," I whispered, "not yet." Instinct kicked in, forcing me up, pain shooting through every nerve. Snow clung to my ragged dress, to the cloth scraps where shoes once were. Then I saw it, a thin gray wisp of smoke curling through skeletal pines. A cabin hidden deep in the forest, no fence, no cleared path, just faint footprints leading the way. My heart pounded. Was this a hallucination from hunger? Or real hope? I didn't think, just followed, each step a silent prayer. I reached the porch, gripping a frozen post to stay upright. My knuckles rapped the door, barely audible. I knocked again, pressing my forehead to the frame, fighting to steady my ragged breaths. The door creaked open, slow and deliberate. A tall, lean man stood there, face weathered, about 40. His deep green eyes, wary as a lone wolf, studied me. He limped, favoring his left leg, gray coat dusted with snow. I looked up, jaw trembling. "Please, don't let me die out here then." In desperation, I blurted, "I could be a good wife to you, not because I meant it God, no, but because I had nothing left to lose. Just a hollow promise to live another night." He said nothing. His gaze swept from my bloody feet to the bruises on my thighs, up to the torn neckline of my dress. Not leering, not frowning, just assessing, cold and simple. Then he stepped back, holding the door wide. I stumbled inside, legs nearly buckling. The cabin was small, but clean, smelling of burning wood, pine smoke, and roasting meat. Traps and tools hung neatly by the door. A hunting rifle leaned against a rough-hewn desk. One narrow bed, one chair, one table. His world isolated, stripped to essentials. He shut the door behind me, the lock's click final. I leaned against the hearth, hands outstretched to the fire's warmth. My knees gave out again, and he caught my elbow, steadying me before stepping back, keeping distance. He handed me a thick wool blanket, smelling faintly of pine. I wrapped it tight, huddling by the fire, the first warmth in days soaking into my frozen skin. He took a tin bowl, ladled steaming meat broth fat glistening on top from a pot over the fire, and set it on the table without a word. I sank to the floor, no need for chairs or pretends, clutching the hot bowl, burning my hands. The first sip hit my tongue, rich and salty, and tears spilled down my cheeks. I drank slowly, grease dripping down my chin, uncaring. This was life, flowing back into me like a vow. The man Harlan Crow. I'd learn later sat across on the chair, not too close, just watching without staring. No questions about who I was, no probing my past, no judgment of my tattered state. Just a quiet presence, solid as a rock in a storm. I finished the bowl, wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, and leaned against the rough wood wall, closing my eyes for a second. When I opened them, he was still there, unmoving. "Thank you," I whispered, voice raw from exhaustion and emotion. He nodded, then stood, took the blanket from his own bed, and pointed to it. I hesitated, heart racing with fear and gratitude. "Sleep," he said, his first direct word to me. Simple, unthreatening, like a command from someone used to solitude. I staggered to the bed, lying on my side, back to him. My body ached, but the pain felt distant, pushed back by warmth. I clutched the blanket, trying not to shake. The fire crackled softly. The wind howled outside like a devil's lullaby. I didn't know who he was or why he helped me, but he'd opened his door, given me food, a place to rest, and asked nothing in return. No touch, no insinuation. It brought tears again, soaking the blanket. In the dark, I let myself breathe deeply, trembling breaths, because for the first time in days, I felt a spark of hope, fragile but real. I woke to a dim cabin, lit only by the fire's faint orange glow. The air was still warm, a stark contrast to the cold pressing against the walls like a patient predator. My body ached, but it was warmer than it had been in days. My back throbbed, my feet stung, lips cracked, stomach still hollow despite the broth. But it was the best I'd felt in a week. I sat up slowly, pushing matted hair from my face, stiff with sweat and melted snow. The blanket slipped to my chest, and I pulled it up instinctively, scanning the dark room with a twinge of unease. Harlan sat in the chair by the hearth, half in shadow, head tilted back, chin on chest. Asleep, or close to it. His coat and boots were still on, rifle within reach. He hadn't left, hadn't come closer. I studied his face in the flickering light. Lines carved by hardship, not age, but a brutal life. Square jaw dusted with stubble, eyes sunken from years squinting through sun and smoke. He looked like a man who'd asked little of the world and now expected less. His limp had a story, his right leg stretched, stiffer, awkward. Even at rest, he didn't fully relax, like he'd never slept soundly. Not ever. My thoughts came slow but clear, no longer fogged by hunger. He could have taken advantage of me had offered, in my desperation, a shameful promise from a half-dead girl. But he hadn't. He hadn't even asked my name, which unsettled me in a strange way. After all the leering looks from men in the tribe or white towns, this absence of expectation was almost frightening. I pulled my knees under the blanket, rubbing my feet. Pain shot up, skin cracked, frostbite creeping into my toes. I unwrapped the bloody cloth, hissing at the sting, and he stirred. His eyes opened, locking on me instantly, alert. He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched. I held his gaze a moment, then looked down, tending my wounds. Blood smeared the wood wall. Then a wolf's howl pierced the night long, hungry, chilling my blood. I froze, eyes wide, heart hammering. They found me, I whispered, thinking of the tribe's hunters. But Harlan stood calmly, grabbed his rifle, and cracked the door. Under the cold moonlight, a pack of wolves led by a massive beast. Eyes glinting, charged the cabin, drawn by my blood scent. Harlan didn't flinch. He aimed and fired, the shot echoing as the lead wolf dropped, blood pooling in the snow. 2 more shots scattered the rest, their howls fading into the forest. He slammed the door, turning back, face unchanged, like killing wolves was routine. Safe now, he muttered, voice low as distant thunder. My heart raced, but in that moment, I saw him a wild cowboy, raw and masculine, sparking something in me. Not fear, but a warmth I couldn't name. He returned to his task like nothing happened. Pulling a tin of salve and a roll of linen from a shelf by the hearth. Kneeling beside me, he said, "This'll hurt." His voice was gravelly, rough from disuse. I nodded, avoiding his eyes, heart pounding from his closeness. But he set the supplies down, do it yourself, and stood, returning to his chair. He poured whiskey into a tin cup and resumed carving a piece of wood, looked like a comb. I blinked, realizing he was giving me control. No touching without permission. My eyes flicked to his face, stoic but meaningful. I applied the salve, wincing, but a strange peace settled in my chest. Not full trust, but relief. When I finished, I looked at him. "You live alone?" I asked, voice scratchy from sleep and emotion. He nodded, not looking up from his carving. I waited, then pressed. "Got a name?" He paused. "Harlan Crow." I nodded. "I'm Lila Redwing." He glanced at me for half a second, just enough to make me feel seen. Enough to stir curiosity. Who was he? Why live so isolated? And why, of all things, help me? The question hung like smoke in the air, making my heart flutter with the fire's rhythm. A log popped. He didn't flinch. His knife kept moving. I turned to the wall, pulling the blanket tight, throat tight with unspoken pain. But for the first time, silence wasn't punishment. It was space to breathe, to heal. And deep inside, a seed of something new sprouted. Not love, not yet, but hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I'd found a place to belong.